Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 346, and we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Currently on Wednesday night, it is a bit chillier in the garage since we last saw you, unfortunately, but so is the Midwest. But we've got some familiar faces in the garage. We've got Josh Bentley from Altadis USA.
Yeah.
David Welch from Altadis USA. Nate Hale
from Ohio.
Thanks for joining us. We also have a special guest coming on here, but we want to do a little bit of business first. Josh, welcome back. David, welcome back.
Man.
Love having you guys here. We got something special here tonight. A couple things that are special here tonight, but want to thank you guys, Altadis USA, for the sponsorship for the show. Having you guys on, always a pleasure. We've got something special from one of your iconic brands, Montecristo, tonight, which is the 90th anniversary, or you guys just call it the 90th?
Yeah, Montecristo 90th.
Okay.
Montecristo 90th.
It's nice. Also, Romeo Julieta, H. Upman, Aging Room, among other brands for you guys. But this is a big one for you with this limited edition cigar. We also want to thank Tinder Box at Easton in Columbus, Ohio, where we are based out of, carry a lot of Altadis products alongside about, 500 or 600 other SKUs. So we appreciate all you guys supporting the Tinder Box at Easton. If you guys don't have a local brick and mortar, make sure you guys check them out, and they do ship. So check them out wherever you are. BS Cigar Company, the gold and silver are available. The gold's made by Plasencia, and the silver's made by Espinosa Cigars. And that's another thing you can find at Tinder Box at Easton, or you can reach out to the podcast. We'll get some out to you. And it's a little cold. Nate is sporting the gear tonight, which is nice. I am bundled up. But buyjack.com/bourbonandbs for any of the swag, including his black camo bourbon barrel head logo hoodie, which looks great on you, man. Looks great.
Did you notice the hat too?
The Montecristo Espada. That's right.
You're
ready to go skiing. I love that. And also patreon.com/bourbonandbs podcast or Venmo at bourbonandbs for the contributions. We want to thank all of our regular Patreon members as well. You guys definitely help us keep this thing going. So we are doing this every other week now, which has been kind of nice, giving everyone a little bit more time to enjoy life here. We've got Ray Cheshire listening. We've got a few other people listening. Make sure you guys share the show. And I want to bring someone on the stage for the whiskey portion of the broadcast tonight.
You should probably open the bottle.
We'll open the bottle, yeah.
Yeah.
Brandon Smith. Brandon, you are joining the show. I believe you know Josh Bentley.
Oh, do I know Joshy boy? Hell yeah.
Wow. Sounds like that's a different show.
Appreciate you guys having me join in on the night. Looks like you got more of a vibe going on up there in Columbus than I got down here in Louisville, though.
It's a little chillier.
I'm just glad you're able to smoke with us, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Found a spot.
I'm actually smoking in the house in my office. So.
Oh, yeah.
Are you home alone or?
No,
Oh,
that's
boy.
why I'm in my office.
Yeah. Cuts the feed like in a second. Banging on the door. What are you doing in there? Brandon, introduce yourself, if you would, to the audience here for us.
Yeah, first off, thanks for having me. Brandon Smith, Bardstown Bourbon Company in Green River. I'm the National Brand Activation Manager for what is Lofted Spirits. So Lofted Spirits is our holding company, owns Bardstown and Green River, and kind of is the umbrella for our amazing brand. So excited to be here, excited to represent our brands, and Josh brought something fun for you. So excited to chime in and hopefully add a little bit of value to the folks watching.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing this with us. So let's what do you guys want to start with? We've got people from everywhere here.
Yeah.
You want to start off with? Let's start off with a cigar. This is something, not that this bottle is not special, but this is something big for Montecristo and Altadis USA.
Sure it is. Yeah, so super happy to be back. It's been a while.
New studio for you.
Yeah, new studio since I've been here. It's been I think more than a year since I've been on the pod. So happy to be back and happy to be with David and the crew. And wanted to highlight something that has recently come out, that we have the Montecristo 90th anniversary. Spectacular cigar, something that we came out with that is just different than the iterations in the Montecristo line that have come before it. So something that I want to share from Raphael, because I reached out to Raphael, just asking him, hey, what's unique about this, right? That I could,
Raphael, can we smoke this on the show?
Yeah. So this is what he said. He said the 90th is a project born from a dream of interpreting what a Cuban cigar must have been like in 1935 when the brand was born. It is Cuban at its heart, but with Nicaraguan tobaccos from the private reserve of Plasencia. He said, my inspiration was the wrapper I discovered in their cellars. Jalapa Cuban Sown Criollo 98 hybrid variety created to enhance the flavors while delivering the Cuban heritage flavors that have made Cuban cigars a staple in this world. He said, I incorporated tobaccos from Esteli, Condega, and Ometepe that not only complement the amazing, flavorful wrapper, but actually enhance the smoking experience. He said it's a sophisticated and elegant cigar.
Wasted on us here.
Woo! Man.
Last part. I don't know.
Yeah.
So say that wrapper. Do you remember? Do you have to look this up again here? That wrapper was very unique.
It's a Jalapa. It's a Cuban hybrid, Criollo 98 hybrid, excuse me.
Okay.
Cuban seed.
Sure.
Corojo 98 hybrid, grown in the Jalapa Valley.
Okay. No age statement on that?
No age statement.
Okay.
Well,
go ahead.
Well,
impart where you can. Yeah.
90-year-old wrapper. That's amazing. That is fantastic. I feel like we're there.
The process says that all of the tobacco in the cigar is a minimum of like 12 years. So
Oh, wow.
12 and 15, at least the binder filler, have been aged that long. So I can't speak to the wrapper,
Okay.
but I know that the rest of the tobacco is between 12 and 15.
I always find it interesting when even a guy like Raphael, who's been in the industry for a long time, doing some great things for you guys. I mean, when you start talking about Cubanesque, right? I mean, this is always, you guys have been in the industry long enough that we've all heard people talk about the whole Cubanesque or Cuban style smoke or flavor. So I'm interested to see or hear what you guys have to say about this cigar.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock on anyone, but that's just something that I think you see with these cigars that have been coming out, especially over the last 10 years or maybe more, 15, where there has been this kind of back and forth where you're trying to, sell some, especially the milder ones, some of the more popular mild ones across the board, because that's kind of an everyday smoke for a lot of even novice smokers. But it's that Cubanesque. It's light. It's mild. It's a lot of Dominican. We're going for that. And then it was like, all of a sudden you had some of this Nicaraguan, the Corojo, like you said, the Criollo, all this, they're all kind of like getting there with this mild to medium type stuff. And then I feel like it went a little route of, no, let's be proud of the Nicaraguan stuff. Let's be proud of the Dominican stuff. And no, we're bringing in Mexican tobacco and like really pushing that. But I've noticed that you guys with this one and what Raphael said and some other, I guess, efforts from other companies with especially limited edition ones, they're going back to, let's try to hit a little bit more Cubanesque or like the Cuban notes. And when, I guess before I say it, what does that mean to you guys when you hear that kind of Cuban stuff being thrown out there?
So,
as far as the flavor and the ode to it.
So real quick from a company and the marketing standpoint, right, was so Raphael created this cigar with the Plasencias, right, utilizing that, that tobacco. It is the 90th anniversary, right, paying tribute to a brand that started in 1935. So going back to the roots was his idea. And then marketing took that right into everything and created this incredible box that you see in
gorgeous.
It's got like a poker chip. They're playing off of the 1930s Cubanesque, right? The cruise ship lines that would come in, the poker, the Casino Royale, right?
Yeah.
And so, but going back to your question first. And then, David, I want to open it up to you. What a Cuban cigar is, right? You, I believe, enjoyed a Cuban cigar in the country, right? and one or two, and so when Raphael makes these statements when you're trying to get back there, and there's a lot of hype around Cuban cigars
There
too,
is.
right?
There is.
There's this myth, right, that everybody wants what they can't have, and so you want to have a Cuban cigar. But truly getting down to it, it is so unique, the tobaccos that come out of Cuba, right? I mean, it's hard to match, or it's hard to find tobaccos that are not grown in Cuba and try and give it a Cuban distinction, right? A flavor profile that is going to match something that was grown with the utmost best soil, right? And latitude and longitude. The burn on this in particular, you just remind me of, right? Because I was smoking it, and I mean, it smokes rather quickly.
I gotta slow down.
Yeah,
it's a nice draw. It's not airy.
I mean,
I think the number 2 shape helps with that. I have not smoked the other size or the other Vitola of this.
Yeah. What do you have anything to impart off of Steve's question?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's going back to the roots and the heritage of what Raphael probably sees as being the most Cuban-esque version of a modern New World cigar that he can embody, obviously with the help of Plasencia. It's, for guys who've smoked Cubans, they're going to get a little bit of this. He alluded to the fact that, like, this cigar will get better with age. He said this is going to be one of those cigars that if you sit on it for a year or two and you go back to it, it's going to have some flavors that kind of develop and really kind of shock you. So,
yeah, all right, it's a good take. I think and Ray Chester listening, he says, why in this day and age of great tobacco from DR, Nicaragua, also throughout Honduras, Mexico, Cameroon, all over really. Why are they still pushing the Cuban story? And I mean, I'm of the opinion, Ray and anyone else out there, and that's why I was asking the question. I think there is still, to your guys' point, Josh, you were saying, as far as like there's that mystique, all the kind of the iconic heritage behind that, which is what this is, the 90th. That's what Raphael says about it. You're using Plasencia, which also obviously they have Cuban roots in their family, fled to Honduras, Nicaragua, and all this. And so I think that you're doing what you can to kind of not try to replicate a Cuban cigar. You're trying to kind of replicate the experience through the construction, through the flavors to a point with what you can do. But if you read up on this at all, there's no real kind of curtain there that is holding back, like, oh, this is a proprietary blend. I mean, it's Nicaraguan tobacco. This is what we're doing. We're utilizing a family with mass Cuban roots as far as the tobacco world. They've been around as long as Montecristo in the tobacco field there. So no pun intended. But it was just something that I'm interested to see, to Ray, to your question there, is because this is where it all came from. And I think that you're not going to duplicate the soil in Cuba after all those generations of farming it, and you're just going to have a different climate. So the one thing I'll say about this, there is a bit of a hint of that saltiness that I get from a lot of Cuban tobacco. And that's something that for those that, they've smoked Cuban cigars before, that is kind of not a necessarily prominent note, but it is a reoccurring note I find in a lot of Cuban cigars that I've smoked, whether they be like the mainstream ones like Montecristo from Habanos SA, and then also all the way to like the farm rolls and everything else that you can get down there in Cuba itself. Not necessarily, I'm not knocking it, but not because a shop that their uncle owns, knows a guy that, works in the factories in Cuba. I'm talking about the stuff that is it's from there. And I get a note of that. It's not as prominent, I think, as some, but it reminds me a little bit more, honestly, of some of the farm rolls I've had. From Hector Luis and from the Robaena family and stuff like that, where I've enjoyed those. And there's a little bit of that, at least in the beginning, for me.
Yeah.
So.
And going back to, Ray, I think, again, right, they're not trying to replicate, but it's an interpretation, right, of it's paying tribute to a Cuban heritage brand, going back and giving an interpretation utilizing the Nicaraguan tobaccos.
And I will say this, Montecristo also, so you guys have done two things to this that I don't know if the general consumer really kind of put it together, not because they're dumb. It's just they don't think about it. Is that you guys did the 1935 anniversary, completely different, similar, not story, but similar saying on there where this was kind of Rafael and AJ Fernandez's ode to the 90 years. But that is a much fuller bodied cigar.
Oh, yeah.
So two different kind of iterations of a similar homage to the roots of Montecristo, which I think is cool. That would be a cool pack if you ever do that. 2 1935 anniversaries and 2 90s together, just to just do the big bang there.
Yeah.
Diamante,
throw that in there as well.
I think to your point about Cuban tobacco is similar to the point of like Kentucky and bourbon. I mean, people try and replicate the water and the climate in Kentucky in other areas of the country, and it's simply not the same.
It's not gonna be.
Yeah.
So it's kind of homage to that. Brandon, is he smoking this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe Brandon has the Montecristo 90.
Brandon, let's hear from you. What are your thoughts on that? And what does your family think of the smoke in the house? Like, is that good smoke in the house? Are they enjoying it?
The good thing is it's my mortgage and my house. So.
Notice how it kind of said a little quieter when you said that.
Notice how he also looked over around.
They're not listening, are they? Because never mind.
Yeah, she's working. So first off, this is an amazing cigar. I'm really enjoying it. A couple things stick out for me from that conversation a little bit. I think there's a way to honor the tradition of a traditional Cuban, right? The heritage, the legacy, the mystique, the allure of all of it. And to Josh's point, you always want that, right? Because you feel like it's this unicorn that you're kind of going after. But I think that, for me, I would say we're in Kentucky bourbon, right? So everyone would want to say, oh, if the best of American whiskey is probably going to err towards a Kentucky bourbon, right? But that's not to say there's not so many great American whiskeys out there that come from different states, come from different regions. And I think, terroir aside from, soil and weather and climate and the composition that you get from a growing and maturation and aging, there's an element of the cultural, what I call cultural terroir, right? You have so many generations that have been doing this for decades. I mean, literally generations of families and someone who has been passed down through lineage, and it's something ingrained in the communities. And to me, I think Kentucky bourbon really has a lot of that. Where our distillery is in Bardstown, there's people that have been, doing this for generations. I mean, it's the bourbon capital of the world, Bardstown, for a reason, right? Kentucky is obviously the home to a lot of it, but Bardstown is actually the trademarked bourbon capital of the world. You've got 11 distillers within about 17 miles. I mean, you've got, the Heaven Hills of the world, Willett, Preservation, Bardstown Bourbon Company, Makers Mark, Beam. I mean, there's so much history and so much rich tradition of it that, you can always honor and respect that tradition. But I think to me, what's really cool about Montecristo, and I'm a little biased, they're one of my favorite brands, if not my favorite, is it's really, I think the expression of trying to honor, emulate, but also make something distinctly itself. And there's something special, I think, about Nicaraguan tobaccos, and this is just a phenomenal release. And I might even have an extra soft spot for the Placencia guys and Rafael and that crew. But this is great, man.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Appreciate that.
Nate, what are you getting out of this cigar here?
So this is actually the second one I've smoked because Josh was kind enough to send you and I a little care package last week. So Sunday, I actually smoked that Robusto that you sent us at the shop. And some things I noted on it then and as well as now. Steve, you brought up that kind of saltiness, that salinity that you get from that cigar. A couple of the other things that I noticed that remind me of that Cuban-esque, not to keep butchering that word, but like just the look of the wrapper itself, like how smooth that wrapper looks, the oiliness, the shine on
color.
The color as well. But then also on the smoke, there's a cleanliness to the smoke. It's sharp, it's crisp, it's clean on the palate. It doesn't necessarily just sit. It's there. You taste all that flavor, and then it goes away fairly quickly. It's just really clean smoke.
Yeah.
And so those are things that really stood out to me the first time I smoked this as well as again today, which, hey, good. Cigar smokes the same way twice. It's kind of what you hope for.
Yeah.
I will say that, this wrapper is delicate, so that you got to really be careful and treat the cigar. I was trying to get a good shot before we went live, and mine dropped and paid a price for that. So
it's also not the warmest out.
Yeah, that's my fault. That's on
so.
me. But like the cigar hasn't exploded or blown up. It's burning. That wrapper crack keeps growing with the heat and expanding, but like the cigar is still holding together, still getting all the flavor. Like nothing's wrong, with the way the cigar's smoking, and it's just got great medium body flavor. But again, really clean. That nice saltiness that almost acts like a palate cleanser going back to the whiskey.
I haven't taken a sip of the whiskey yet, but I would encourage you with this one. And there aren't many cigars that I would encourage you to do this with. It's going to sound a little funny, but when you guys draw in, before you retrohale or before you let it out, literally hold the smoke in your mouth. I don't know if you've done that with this cigar yet. I think you'll be kind of impressed on how it really, when you blow it out eventually, it's all over your tongue. It's on the outsides of your palate, of your tongue. I think it accentuates some of the flavors that you're talking about quite a bit with this one. And to your point, Nate, where how clean this is, it's not unpleasant to hold that in. Like you can breathe through your nose, you can kind of hang out with it, and it's not like that chewy flavor or anything like that. It's very light and not mild, but it's like kind of a lightness to the smoke, the clean part you guys are talking about. But yeah, that's always like an exercise you can do with certain cigars that I think that will literally, it doesn't blast your tongue or anything like that. It literally is just kind of chilling in there.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of flavor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys agree, if that was just crazy, but
yeah.
This is limited, right?
5,000 boxes.
5,000 boxes.
Two sizes.
12
count box.
And we're coming in MSRP
36
ish. This size MSRP is 40.
Correct.
And the other Vitola is 38.50, I believe, or around there, around them parts, before tobacco tax. If you are lucky enough, obviously these come in boxes of 12, I believe.
Correct.
Beautiful boxes, definitely a collector's box if
poker
you get
chip
your hands on it. Poker chips on the inside. And then there's also something special that is extremely limited that is involved with this project, which is
the BRM
MSRP
watch.
it's not that high. Go ahead. You want?
No.
We actually are wearing them.
Yeah. So
2 of the 35
enlisted and went back to BRM and they made a very cool watch. I believe it comes in at a cool 9 Gs. I believe is.
I was talking more the set.
We made 35 of them.
So yeah,
humidor?
You get a humidor, right, with a watch in it. Does it have a watch winder?
Yeah, it
has the
includes a watch
cards.
winder in the humidor, I believe.
Yep. So, and is that MSRP 9?
Yes.
MSRP is 15, I believe, for the
MSRP
whole
15.
package.
Okay.
Maybe the watch is 9.
Correct.
Yeah.
But if you really want to go all out,
Yeah.
and I think there's only 35 of those.
35
made,
of
is
those,
that correct?
Yep.
35.
So
yeah.
might find we didn't pick it up at Tinder Box.
No?
Not this time. We're gonna wait. Maybe 100th. You know.
Talk to the guys at Tinder Box.
Yeah. Hang on. David's like, yes, please.
Deposit required.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to switch these up here. And Brandon, if you want to, if I can get this right here, what are we sipping on tonight? Because this is something special as well. And Bardstown Bourbon, this is a collaboration series, which you've done more than just this one.
Yeah, we do have a long history of collaboration series. So I'll give a little overview. So folks who maybe aren't familiar with Bardstown. So, Bardstown, I kind of mentioned is in Bardstown, the bourbon capital of the world. So about an hour south of Louisville. In a very traditional industry, we are really pushing the boundaries of what's possible in the categories. Through doing that, we have our Origin series, which is our flagship kind of 6-year-old estate distilled whiskeys. Everything's very affordable, approachable, $45 to $50. And then we have our Discovery series, which goes up in proof. It's more, I would say, the whiskey for the purist, right? Like older stocks, high proof. You get that real kind of rich, intense Kentucky bourbon experience that I think the purists really love. And then our collaboration series, which probably my favorite. They're just so unique, and they really take the shackles off, right? You can explore, and you can enjoy pushing what's really possible. And through that, we've traditionally used older stocks in those whiskeys. We blend them at higher proofs. We celebrate a really long maturation finishing, but we've partnered with the best beer, wine, spirits producers from all over the world. Anything from Maison Ferrand Cognac, which is our newest release, the Siver Oak we did a year and a half ago, and we've done Goose Island, Founders, KBS. We've done so many awesome projects in that kind of orientation of our product portfolio. But the Siver Oak one, which is what we're talking about tonight, is really the most recent in of our red wine finishes. So with our whiskeys, we take a lot of pride in preservation of the barrel and the integrity of what spirit or liquid is that comes to us, right? So for Siver Oak, we brought them, filled them, we pump them with argon, we wrap the barrels, we try to displace all the oxygen so there's no souring or spoiling of the wine. Anything with a low proof or low ABV on it has a chance to go bad in transit, right? And so for us, it's super important to take the best quality ingredients, or in this case, cast finishing liquids, and make sure that the integrity of that is taken care of at the utmost care. So by the time we got these barrels, our master blender, Dan Calloway, he's awesome. If anyone's watched 60 Minutes, he was featured on 60 Minutes with our Cathedral French Oak that came out earlier this year. But he's awesome. I call him Captain Charisma. He's just the coolest, chillest dude you'll ever meet. He's super articulate, gracious, and awesome to be privileged to work with him. But he's kind of goes in the lab, and he just, I call it the mad scientist. And this one's fun because it's actually a blend of 6 different whiskeys. So you have anything from 9 to 14 years old in this blend, but you've got whiskeys from Kentucky, Indiana, Tennessee, even Georgia in this one a little bit. So super unique. Always looking to bring the best quality products that we can put into a blend and create something unique with its own fingerprint. And I think that the Siver Oak here is another example of that one. And I got to say, it pairs ridiculously well with this cigar.
It does.
Right there with you on that, for sure.
Great call, Josh.
This one, I took a sip. I've been smoking the cigar. I took a sip of the whiskey, and it is quite at least the first sip after smoking. I don't know. Is it in your head, do you think, Brandon, that I get a bit of like a wine start to it on the palate, on the flavor? Because
I don't
then
think
it kind
so.
of transitions a little bit. It starts like not heating up, but all of a sudden it just kind of like the flavor starts really coming alive after that first hit onto the tongue.
Yeah, I think I'm picking up what you're saying. I think this whiskey actually kind of reminds me of cigar. It's very delicate in nature, but it still has that rich, robust kind of body and character to it that gives you a really nice, elegant experience. And because we spend such a long time finishing these products, this one was finished in Napa and Alexander Valley Cabernets from Siver Oak, and we finished this product for about a year and a half. So I think it's 18 months in barrel.
Wow.
Most people would do 3 to 6 months maybe and say, okay, we're going to put this out. It's finished in red wine, but true to kind of what we do as a brand, I think is something special about us. Is we always put our partner brand right on the front. So you see Siver Oak, you can actually see their iconic kind of tower in the back on the back deco. Mm-hmm. Since I drank enough of this, you can actually see it. And then we really kind of celebrate that instead of just being whiskey finished in red wine. It's like, no, it's a whiskey proudly finished in Siver Oak Cabernet barrels. Mm-hmm. And long finishing processes.
I think this is one that like my wife, which she makes that like gasoline face, you know what I mean? Like when she drinks whiskey. I think this is one where I would see the transition. Like she would take a sip of it, like kind of like really hesitant. And then it would be like, oh. And then it would just like kind of just go. She's like, nope. but like that first little bit, I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys get
Yeah,
that
yeah,
at all.
I did.
It's like really like, oh, that's really nice. And there's the whiskey part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's what is so interesting with this bottle. What do you guys think?
No, I think you're right. I think like the dryness of a cab really hits the forefront of your palate, and then as it goes back, you start to say, okay, this is a bourbon, and then you start to get a little heat. But 108 is super approachable, and with the age that he said is in there, it's definitely not as like you don't get any menthol. I mean, I don't get any. I don't know if you guys, but I don't get any of the Kentucky Hug.
Ethanol.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, or menthol.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, no, I don't get either of those.
No, I don't get any of that going down the throat. I mean, it's very approachable.
A lot of times on like my steak nights or whatever, I do a little bit of whiskey, a little bit of usually cab, sometimes red blends or whatever. And like this is like it's like a steak night all in one right here.
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
that's what this reminds me of. Is like a grilling out, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'll have a little pregame whiskey, and then with dinner I'll have some red wine, and then I'll maybe have a nightcap, and like this is all in one right here.
Yeah, it is. Like smoking the cigar first, I lit it up, right, and I was a third of the way into the cigar, and I take that first sip, and it's exactly what you said, Steve. I mean, it was like the juiciness of a cab, right? I mean, very grape forward, just initial, like in that hit, right? And then boom, right? The finish. I think it complements this cigar. I mean, I know we'll get into the pairing later, but so we identified this cigar, and Brandon, you don't know this. We identified, hey, we're gonna do the Montecristo 90th, and so I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, we usually try and bring on a bottle like ourselves. Brandon and I have a great long-standing bro relationship, right? I mean, we do different collaborations, and next we're going to be smoking. We haven't talked about, but I do have the Montecristo Bardstown Bourbon Company Distiller Select cigar, so we're smoking that on the second half. There it is. But so I came across this bottle, and I wanted something that I believe you used the word, David, like approachable, right? I knew the body of this cigar, right? I knew the profile of the cigar, and I didn't want this bourbon to overpower. And so I came across and I was like, okay, Siver Oak, right? 108 proof, right? I was trying to stick around that 100 proof mark because I didn't want to overpower. But I think that, I mean, we hit it on the head with this, man. I think it just complements this cigar like phenomenally. Open it up to you guys. What do you guys think?
Nate, how about you?
So I definitely agree. My first sip too, that initial fruit, because I've actually had the Siver Oak wines. We did a dinner last year that featured their portfolio. And I mean, when this first came out, part of the way I sold it, because Carfagna's carried this bottle, and part of the way I sold it was we had the Siver Oak wines on the shelves as well. And so I would show people like, yeah, the barrel, this is finished. You got two cabs. They're $100 for the Alexander Valley, $200 for the Napa Valley. It's finished in those barrels. Like most of us had $200 Napa cab.
And what was this selling for in Ohio?
I believe it was $150, $160 last year when we had it on the shelves.
Right in between the two
and
bottles
then
of wine.
at the time, we also had the collaboration with Amroot, which is an Indian single malt whiskey. And I would hold the two bottles up to each other, and the color on this one, it is so dark. Like you can see a lot of that wine barrel influence in the color because it is a very, very dark whiskey. That fruitiness that you get from the cab is definitely up front. It's an immediate smooth transition into that blended whiskey. And I think the cleanliness on this cigar, like, sets your palate up to taste the whiskey every single time.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm uber impressed, not with myself.
I mean, it's every day. Every day for you, right?
Man, I mean, it really does, Nate. I feel like you hit it on the head. it complements. It really does that tad bit of saltiness when you take your puffs on the cigar, and then you go back to the sip, and it's just wow. It really does.
I think that's where like the steak dinner. I mean, you got salty, you got the wine, but I also think like this is one of the few bourbons that the nose and the palate are very similar. A lot of times you'll get like fruit or, let's say baked goods or something on the nose, and then the palate's like, oh wow, that's nothing like what I thought it was going to taste like. And I feel like the nose, if I drank this blind, I would suspect that it's finished in maybe a sherry or obviously a cab or something like that. So I appreciate when the nose and the palate kind of are in sync, and you know what you're getting, you know what to expect. And then I was surprised as you guys were with how much of the wine in the forefront of drinking it really comes out. So
one of the other things I like about this product, and it also, it ties into the Siver Oak. So Siver Oak, they use American oak for their barrels. That was a decision that the founders made when they created this, because they did not like how tannic French oak was. So for the Napa Cab, it is first use American oak. For the for the Alexander Valley, they'll do first or second use American oak. But with the American oak, I get more vanilla coming through, whether it be on a whiskey or on a wine. I get more vanilla notes coming through. Whereas with French oak, I tend to get a little bit more sharpness, which is why I tend to not like French oak finished bourbons. So this going into a French oak or an American oak wine barrel, you get a little bit more of that vanilla coming through, both on the wine, and it shows its way into this product as well, which really blends well with the cigar again.
Yeah.
Brandon, you said, go ahead.
Oh, I was just impressed, man. You guy knows his wines over here. Yeah.
I work in a wine and liquor store.
I was gonna piggyback it and say, I think that's what's something that's super unique about Siver Oak. But you already beat me to it, and I went out there end of April earlier this year just to spend a little time with the team, and took them some bottles of our collaboration to share with their team out there, and just a beautiful property. Highly recommend going out there. But you're really talking a luxurious, very popular brand, but one that I think delivers a big, robust kind of sipping experience when it comes to a California Cabernet. So they do an amazing job. And you actually also touched on one of my favorite whiskeys, is that Amrut collaboration we did last year. I've had countless cigars with the Amrut, and it pairs so well with them as well. It's just a totally different experience, but super unique. That one won American Whiskey of the Year last year, right? From Whiskey Magazine, Whiskey Advocate, excuse me. But it's big, it's intense, it's unique. It's got really an earthiness to the whiskey that I think really translates well with a cigar. So another beautiful pairing if you're looking to kind of dive down the rabbit hole.
Can you go into maybe like what, I don't know how much you can divulge, but like what bourbons did you guys go towards when you were looking to blend before it went into the Cabernet casks? Like, is it one of your bottled and bonds? Is it one of, I guess, what was that process like of picking the bourbon that was going to go into the Cabernet cask?
So a couple things, with our collaboration series, we only use exclusively older stocks, products that are typically 8 or 9 years at minimum, upwards up to we've used anything up to 18 years in some of our blends. And
is that because it ends up being a better fit for finishing it in something, to use something of that age?
Not necessarily. I think there's definitely an element to using the best quality products that we can use, right? And sometimes they're 8 years old, sometimes they're 12, 13, 14 plus. What I think, for us is that, we've not been distilling that long, right? Our oldest stocks are about 9 years old right now. And as our inventory has been aging and we've been patiently waiting, right? We launched our Origin series in 2023. And we specifically had to wait to 2023 to let our products become 6 years old. So as those products have taken their time to mature and grow and develop, now we've been incorporating them into our Discovery Series blends. So for anything in the most recent Discovery Series, you'll see some of our whiskeys start to make their way in there, and 5, 6, 8% of the blends, because we're really trying to celebrate that big traditional profile. So with this whiskey specifically, Dan does an amazing job. He actually is a level 2 somm, so he comes from a wine background. He's very intimately, tapped in with the winemaking process and different wines from all over the region. So, that's where the mad scientist gets to create, right? And so I know for him, he's always going to go for profile over process. So he's going to say, I don't really care what we've got to do, but I want to create something special and something unique. So in our inventory with our collabs and discoveries, traditionally, we've always used the best source whiskeys that we can procure, right? And that's just as our whiskeys get older. So as in the coming years, you'll start to see more of our whiskey, our house estate distilled whiskey, make its way into blends once it reaches the maturity and level of complexity that we expect in our collaboration and discovery series.
When he is working on these projects, this is always, I think, it's interesting to hear from different distilleries on these projects. You talk about him being a mad scientist, right? So you have this blend that he's come up with, and then you have the 17-month gamble, if you will. What's the trial and error aspect of that? Is this something where there's certain, like, you have different batches or different blends going in similar barrels, and then as they age in those barrels to finish in there? Are there other products that are kind of just sitting in the warehouse, or you guys have tried, that didn't make it into the Siver Oak this project, but it could be a follow-up project, something like that? Because it's, you do all those variables all at once, the different states, different ages, the different mash bills possibly, and all these different things. Then you have a 17-month project gamble right at that point. Is this like a one and done, it worked or it didn't work, or we're going to sell it regardless? Or is this something that there is a bit of a trial and error throughout those months as you're trying to, and you're like, this one isn't going the way we wanted to, but this one is? Is that part of that science experiment, if you will?
Yeah, look, if you want to call yourself a trailblazer and a boundary pushing brand, you're not going to land on everything, right? And we're the first to admit that. That being said, when it comes to anything that we are going to put in a bottle, you can bet that it's going to be up to the standards that we expect for our products. And we've got a long history with wine collaborations, right? So the very first collaborative series we ever put out was a Cabernet. That one came out. It was an 18-month finish, and some of those barrels didn't make it into the original batch. Well, we let them sit and age out a little bit more. Come to find out, when they've been sitting in that barrel for about 3+ years, quite spectacular. It ended up being the very first release in our distillery exclusive. It was our Pfeiffer Pavitt XO. So, we're always keeping an eye on these things. Dan and our team, our barrel warehouse team, are pulling samples of everything every single day, right? So there's always attention and care to those. But then also, if you're really looking to create a specific experience, you look at our new Ferran collaboration, right? Some of the barrels were lower in the rickhouse, and some of them are higher in the rickhouse. The maturation journey and what they go on during that process is wildly different, right? So if you've got something that's maybe not picked up as much flavor as you might anticipate, we might move those barrels up in the rickhouse and pull ones that maybe extracted more flavor down into the rickhouse to kind of, slow them down a little bit, or give them an extra kick, so to speak. Dan always calls it giving it a summer, right? Because you have the intensity of the barrel interaction during those summer months, where the massive, barometric pressure comes through, forces the barrel into the wood. When it's hot and humid, the barrels open up and expand, and that's really how that kind of dance climate, from a climate standpoint, interacts. But he's always keeping tabs on things, man. I tell you, every time I see him, he's like, dude, you got to come try this thing. I just pulled a barrel sample of this, or I got this. I'm like, dude, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Can I get some coffee first? but he lives and breathes it.
Are you able to speak to? I guess, have you ever had the opportunity to try any of these? I guess before they go into any of the finishings, like
Everything.
Yeah, you get to. So, I mean, I guess my question is, what was this like before it got finished? I mean, was it a hitter before that with the barrels and the age statements that you guys chose? Obviously, it had to have been a product that you were already proud of, and then to, like to your point, to go and then finish it in a totally different alcohol, like a totally different spirit. Like he said, it's a crapshoot almost. Like, is this going to be good? Is this not going to be good? Like, it was phenomenal before we put it in. We can only hope that it's still going to be good after 12 months, 16 months, 17 months. So I would just love to know what, like, your master blender, I guess, was looking for before it went into the Cabernet barrels.
Yeah, I think, first off, not every single one of these whiskeys in this blend was finished in the Cabernet barrels, right?
Oh,
And
okay.
so what we're always looking for is, again, its profile, right? What's it going to express itself in the most unique and kind of individual way that really marries the two together? And so some of these collaborations over the years have been a portion of blends has gone into barrels. So a blend would go into a select number of barrels and then taste it, throughout the process.
Okay.
There's always the discretion of Dan, where he says, you know what, this is like this very dense, rich, fruity profile, but it feels, maybe a little one-sided. You can always add in a little bit of rye or a little bit more Kentucky bourbon that brings it back to that kind of sweet spot that he feels is a great expression for what comes up ultimately in the bottle. And that gives a lot of latitude for him to create and blend. And we always say our collaboration series is the art of blending, because it really is an art and it's a dance where you guys make a gravy on the weekend, right? You might want some herbs in it this time. You want some red pepper flakes. You want some spice. You don't want some spice. You want a little sugar to sweeten it up and balance the acidity. Like, all those things are effectively having more spices in your spice cabinet or your pantry.
That's interesting. I didn't know that part about the.
I didn't either. I thought it was.
I'm envisioning you have
all
the blend already.
Yep,
then that's going in the barrels.
Yep,
that's what I thought too. A second.
There's definitely some products that will spend the whole life cycle in there, and you can take them out as they are. But there's I think, there's always the discretion of how do you create the best thing and how do you bring something exceptional with its own fingerprint. And that's what I think is awesome about the collaboration series, right? We came out with our Ferran, the Maison Ferran Cognac one, at the end of August, right before the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. Well, the very first collaboration we ever did when I got to Bardstown almost 5 years ago was the original Ferran. And if you drink the two Ferran products side by side, they're entirely different whiskeys. And that's by design, right? You might love the first one, or you might not have liked the first one as much, and you can try the second one, and you might have a totally different, unique experience to drinking them. And I think that's what makes it really special. Is you want elegance, you want something unique, you want to have an individual expression. It's like, you want to smoke the same cigar every single time? Probably not. You want to mix it up a little bit, right? You're looking for something different. And I think that's what's for me the hallmark of any great whiskey, one that makes you sit down, think a little bit, be present, enjoy it with good people. And I feel the same way about a cigar.
Yeah, touche. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's incredible, man. Just what we're sipping on, right? I mean, that just goes to show, because I didn't know that either. I mean, it's such an incredible finish, right? And I would have thought, or in my mind, I would have said, okay, it was all finished, right? Or that was my idea before, right? Brandon spitting this knowledge, right? And the balance that they've created from this, well done, man. I mean, that's, phenomenal.
I think there's a talent in the sense of not continuing to mess with something, whether it be like a recipe, like for food or whatever. You keep adding to it. Like, some people are these perfectionists that they just will, like, no, it's not ready. No, it's not ready. It's not right. It's not right. And I feel like that is something that a lot of people don't talk about with like blenders when it comes to this, like, the master distillers and all this, is that at some point, like, yes, you never, like, cigars are the same way, right? And Raphael's probably the same way. People at Plasencia, all these other great, tobacco companies and families. At some point, you have to release the product. You know what I mean? Because there are, I think, people in a lot of different industries that will continue. Is it done yet? Like, the project deadline has passed, and you've doubled it. We need to release something. It's like, no, it's not ready yet. I think there's a bit of a talent there that some people are like, yep, this is it. And even to say maybe this isn't exactly what I wanted, but this is good. This is something that people need to try. And then they go back in, they try again. You know what I mean? Like, there's something there, because I think there's some people that are just absolute perfectionists that will just never release it. It's never done. Yeah. Like an artist, it's just like they never see the light of day, and they have these just amazing products, amazing, art pieces and stuff like that just no one ever sees, no one ever sips on, no one ever smokes, because they're just like, no, it's not quite what I wanted. Yeah. So I think there's something there that people don't talk about enough, that at some point you're like, no, this is a great expression. Is it my best? Maybe so far, or maybe not, but I want it to be. I'm not saying this particular bottle, but I just don't think that's appreciated enough in these businesses, which is what this is. It's a passion, both the whiskey side, spirit side, and the tobacco side. But I mean, you got to let people enjoy what you have.
I think this is one of those where, because Bardstown is as big as they are, like, their bread and butter right now is their Origin series. Like, that stuff, it's on the shelf. It sells itself. People know the name Bardstown. They see the Origin series on the shelf. At Carfagna's, we have all the Origin series. Almost all of them are double-faced. And you don't really have to push people on that. Mm-hmm. People see it. They recognize it. Bourbon lovers, they recognize the Origin series. They buy it. The collaborations, because now all of a sudden you're making a huge jump in price. So the Origin series in Ohio runs from $45 to, I think, $55 on the shelf. But then this Siver Oak collab, that was $150. The Ferran collab right now is on the shelf at $135. Mm-hmm. Those people recognize the Bardstown label, but it's one of those where that price point, they're like, ooh, like, yeah, I know, like, what
discovery you go for right now?
We don't even have any discovery. I think the last discovery we had was about 120. Yeah. But it's one of the, Bardstown can sit there and make, because they sell all the Origin series, they can wait until a collaboration is where it needs to be before putting it out. Yeah. And then when it is out, that's when it's on retailers' jobs to properly explain these types of products to people. Like, what are you getting for $135?
Three times the core product.
Yeah. So like the Ferran, you've got, 9 to 14 year bourbons, and then Origin series rye thrown in there, finished in the Ferran cognac barrel at 111.8 proof. Like, you have to sometimes put that bottle in front of someone and tell them about the product. But once they hear what goes into that product, like, all of a sudden they're like, oh, now I understand the yeah,
and
that sounds good.
That's the same with this.
Same with the cigar
price point.
Like, it's a $35, $40 cigar, and like, well, let me tell you about the tobaccos. Let me tell you about the flavor profile. Let me tell you about what we were going for with this project. You kind of have to create that excitement in that customer.
Yeah.
Because you have your Montecristo smokers. You have your guys that are just going to buy Montecristo because they love Montecristo. Then they see something that's twice the retail of the other Montecristos on the shelf. It's like, well, now you got to sell them on that. Well, there's a story, there's a process. Sure. You have to kind of get the customer excited about it.
So it's an experience, right? I mean, this comes down to it is obviously the flavor of these different products. And obviously with the cigar side, it's the construction as well, right? I mean, there's that part of it. But I mean, as we get into the ratings here, because I think price comes into it a lot, it's very rare that I think you can quantify price to quality. Like this $40 cigar, is it 4 times as good as a $10 cigar? That's a really tough, objective statement to make, because it's not there. So you can tell a story, you can tell all that stuff, and I think you're right, Nate. It has to be part of the experience of drinking this, of smoking this. I think there is, again, it's not just to say, it's, oh, this is a $150 bottle, because that's a big bill for the same amount of liquid as your, say, $50 core products, right? I mean, so there is, but when it comes down to it, you can tell them the story, you can tell them all this, it still has to be enjoyable. It doesn't necessarily have to be 3 times as enjoyable as your core products, 4 times as enjoyable as a $10 cigar. It just, the whole experience, like you have to be able to treat yourself to that whole experience, the story, the flavor, the just where you're at doing it, all of this stuff, I think which is why these, for the most part, are luxury items. You know, you can drink cheaper whiskey, you can smoke cheaper cigars, but I think that price point is something that there's the story, there's the
unique
explanation of the age that has gone into this, the warehousing of it, all this stuff that you've talked about, Brandon, of what your company does as far as the R&D of it, not just you drinking it before your coffee at 9 a.m., but it's everything that he was doing, all these trial and errors, all these hours, man hours, all of this stuff, all the, if you will, wasted product as well. I mean, you're going to have some wasted product on both of these industries and both of these products. So it all goes into the price. But when it comes down to it, which is what I want to lead into, is the rating of these, is what do you guys think? All encompassing ratings on both the whiskey, which is the Bardstown, this is the Siver Oak collaboration series, the cigar, the Montecristo 90th, and then how they pair together. We've kind of talked about them throughout the show so far, but how would you guys rate this? And Brandon, do you want to start with you, or do you want to hear one of these guys rate first? We basically do out of 10. So you got an out of 10 rating for the whiskey, 10 rating for the cigar, and also the pairing. So 3 different ratings.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, let's see. I'll start with the whiskey. I know it the best. I think for me, I would say the whiskey by itself, I would give it a strong 8.5, plus or minus, depending on what kind of mood I'm in any day. But tonight, I'm really feeling it, and I think it's probably in large part to the cigar. So I'm gonna have to give this cigar a 9. This is honestly one of my favorite Montecristos I've had to date. And I would say that you guys are absolutely killing it right now, because I just had one of the M's not too long ago, and it was also a fantastic smoke. So all things aside, I think pairing, man, it's like a 9.5 for me. 9.2, 9.5 for me. This is just an awesome experience. I'm loving the two of these together, and honestly, the cigar is actually, I'm getting more like cocoa coffee kind of notes coming out of it on the back end, and paired with the spices and the subtle fruits in the whiskey is like this. It's dancing right now, man.
Yeah, it is.
Josh,
Man,
you're up.
All right. So I'll do the same. I'll go whiskey cigar pairing. The whiskey. I mean, I was blown away. It's not something that I would jump to immediately, right, on any given day. A cab finished bourbon. You know, the Siver Oak adds an allure to it, right? I'm not a huge Napa fan when it comes to red wines. I'm more of an old world guy. That being said, I would give the whiskey a 9, right?
Okay.
Right off the bat, which is high. The cigar, for what it is, medium bodied, I would say. It even, for us as regular smokers, I could even say like mild plus. A little bit, but it depends on if you've had a meal, if you haven't had a meal. That being said, I'm going to give it the same. I'm going to give it a 9 as well.
9 and 9. How about
9 and 9? The pairing together is a 9.5. Yeah, 9.5. I mean, I think that both of them just play with each other. Brandon used the word, it's dancing, like it does as you get down, like you get more of the complexities from the cigar, and then you go back to the whiskey. So yeah, 9.5 for me.
David?
Mine's going to be a little different.
Yeah.
2
across the board. You hate it.
Similar to Josh. I wouldn't normally I wouldn't normally go for a finished bourbon. It's not. I mean, I can't say that I have a ton of them in my own bourbon collection, but for what this bourbon is, I I'm actually going to score the bourbon a little bit lower with like a 7.
Okay.
The cigar, I can appreciate that what we've done in the time that went into it and the story behind it and what Raphael was able to create. The cigar, I'm going to go 9, but I'm actually going to go like 9.5 on the pairing. And
wow,
why that is because I think the cigar with this specific bourbon does complement so well. Like the bourbon by itself, I think if I was just drinking this, I don't know that I would have more than one more pour after this just by itself. With the cigar or maybe even with a steak, like this bourbon is phenomenal that you could just pour it with a steak.
You want to go back.
You want to go back. Exactly. But by itself, I don't have those feelings, but with a cigar, I think the pairing is great at like a 9.5. Same. So
okay. Nate?
So I'm one of those, kind of how you talked about, Steve. Like I explain on a daily basis, that price comparison,
Sure.
$40 versus $10, a $200 cab versus a $20 cab, trying to explain that ratio to people. It's not a 1-to-1 type ratio. There are certain aspects that make that bottle, Josh, you need to come visit me at Carfagno's tomorrow if you're in town.
Yeah.
Because I get a lot of people that don't like Napa cabs, but it's because of certain ones they drink, add a bunch of stuff to them. But then you have people like Siver Oak that I think they do things, a more traditional way to where they're really wanting the fruit to shine through. And I think that shines through on this product. Like you can tell the people that made the wine cared about the wine, not just trying to sell a crap ton of bottles and add a bunch of stuff to it. Like that quality comes through even on this product as well. So for the whiskey by itself, I'm a 9 on the whiskey. I've had a lot of wine finished bourbons, and this is by far the best one I've ever had. There's a lot of them that I've tried, and I'm like, I don't ever want to have that one again. Just because sometimes the wine takes over too much, or it wasn't a quality wine that it was finished in. They just grabbed a red wine cask from whoever would sell it to them. But I think with this, this was an intentional effort to grab a really good wine cask from a really good wine maker and then put a really good whiskey into it. And I think that all comes through in this product. So I'm a 9 on the product. This is actually the first time I've tried it, even though it came out last year. It's not like we get to just sit there and crack open bottles at work and try every single new product that comes on the shelves.
Should.
Well, yeah, but I'd have one of the staff members have to buy this bottle, and we're all not going to sit there and chip in for $150 bottle.
Group purchase.
Yes.
What do you think about the cigar?
The cigar, I'm a 9.5 on the cigar. When I smoked it on Sunday, there were some other cigars that it reminded me of, but there was multiple different cigars that all just came into one. And what really stands out to me on this cigar is the cleanliness on the palate of this cigar, and then that salty characteristic. It sets your palate up for the next drink. And there's not a whole lot of cigars that I've smoked that do that. This is one that does. And you can just tell the construction is absolutely top notch. Even with me dropping my cigar earlier and it cracked, it still burned absolutely perfectly. It caught up. It didn't explode. It didn't unravel. I took pictures. David's over here stacking dimes on his ash.
Side note, there was only 2 people that were allowed to roll this, from my understanding.
Yeah.
Two people rolled every single one of these. So Raphael, I believe, handpicked the 2 rollers that did it.
Which one was better?
And
the number 2.
So that kind of stuff also goes to show
Sure
you
does.
You're talking about the best in the company doing that type of job.
What he was talking about when it comes down to picking barrels and bottles and putting it in certain warehouses. It's Raphael took the time to find the best of the best to roll a product that we would consider our pinnacle.
I think it shows.
That just goes to show you the construction. We wanted it to be.
And then my pairing, I'm going to give a 9 on the pairing. When I first tasted the whiskey, even though I'd been smoking the cigar a little bit, when I first tasted the whiskey, initially I thought that the fruit forwardness at the beginning was going to be a little overpowering for this cigar, but the cigar just sets your palate up for this whiskey so well. And the whiskey, it doesn't like the flavors from the cigar still linger. It's, because the whiskey transitions from that wine cask to bourbon so quickly and effortlessly. Like it's like pairing the cigar with just a bourbon, not a finished bourbon. That wine cask just adds a little extra note at the beginning that is intense, but this cigar just absolutely makes you want to go back to this whiskey because it's almost like taking the first sip all over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the whiskey for me, I'm kind of with you guys on this, but I like David. I was kind of more with you on this, which oddly enough, I like Cabernets a lot. And I find I like Cabernets typically as part of my evening, not typically. I do like some cabs by themselves, just to, crack a bottle of wine, and you're not having it with a specific meal or anything like that. But a lot of times we'll do like Pinots for a red if it's just kind of sipping on it because it's a little softer, easier, that kind of stuff. It's not as bold. But cabs, I enjoy typically more with a meal, with an evening. It kind of completes it. It doesn't just, it's not a solo thing for me all the time. And I think that's where I'm at with this bottle as well. That's where I'm like, when you said that, David, I'm the same way. I smoked the cigar for a good 5 to 10 minutes before taking a sip. So I can't speak to, I'm just going to have this as a nightcap, which I think would be nice for one pour, but I think this is more of a whiskey that is part of an evening. It's part of an experience, part of something that you're enjoying, not just by itself. So for me, I'm a 8.5 on the bottle. I really like it. I'd be interested to try it just first thing, fresh palate. The cigar, this is my first time smoking the cigar. I'm 8.5, 9 on the cigar. But I am with you guys, and to speak to the point of where I'm saying it's part of the experience is the fact that it's 9, 9.5 with the pairing, because I think these, especially with the whiskey, I think it complements the cigar a lot. And I also like the fact that they stand up to each other where neither one really overpowers it. You go whiskey to cigar, you taste them both. Cigar to whiskey, you taste them both. And it's something that you've got bold flavors coming out of the bottle, in my opinion. And with this cigar, we've talked about in detail in the beginning of the show, there's a lot of flavor there, but it's clean. Every time you go back to it, it starts right back over. And I think the bottle kind of does the same thing. Every time you take a sip, you get that initial, like we talked about, you get that wine start. It transitions. It kind of really blows up on you a little bit in a good way. So I think, it does. This is a great pairing. And I think they're both good on their own. They're excellent by themselves. But at the same time, I think this is a more of an experienced smoke and more of an experienced bottle. So they're good on their own, I'm sure. I can't speak to that because I haven't had either of them on their own. But I think this is a very nice experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not just the company. You guys are great, but
No, you hit the nail on the head for me, man. Neither one of them is overpowering each other. They're actually almost like just perfectly in sync with each other. And I think that might tee up kind of what you guys are smoking later, but the perfect pairing and the perfect, evolution of two different products and two different categories, which from my experience and going down the rabbit hole earlier this, last year and a half or so with the Montecristo team, making a fun thing together, which I don't want to get into that. I'll let you guys do it. But there's so many parallels to, you got to grow it first of all, right? You gotta let it age. You got to let it, go through the blending process and find the right sweet spot of what you're really trying to create. And there's so many parallels that, at any given point, one can start to dominate the other one. But this pairing is awesome.
I agree.
I might need to put a few more of these in the humidor.
They're limited. I don't know if you heard.
I'm calling Brad.
Guy or 2 or 5. Well, I appreciate it, Brandon. I know you got to go, right? I mean, this is something where we appreciate your time with us for the part 1 of the show and for sharing this great product with us. We look forward to having
appreciate you guys having me on. And if you guys ever want to come down to Kentucky, we'd love to show you around, give you the real VIP experience down at the distillery. It's truly something special, and I would love to share that with you guys. And hopefully, I was telling Josh earlier, I'm going to be up in Columbus, so maybe I'll get linked up with you guys and come up there and we'll have a smoke.
That'd be great. Absolutely. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll have you back on the show soon.
Cheers. Look forward to it. Thanks, guys. Have
Appreciate it,
fun.
bro. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
See y'all.
That was excellent.
You could do the,
Visit Steven's cigar shop.
I was gonna
Visit
say,
me at the
you
wine
could do the
shop.
pod from the distillery.
Can we smoke in there?
Wow.
Let's go over to his house.
Yeah, man.
Let's go over to his house.
Yeah.
How big's that? Have you been to his house?
It's in Louisville.
Okay.
So yeah, we'd have to drive about 45.
I don't know how
minutes,
big his
but,
office is. I'm sure his wife wouldn't mind.
No,
Be fine.
yeah, 5 guys in there.
I have him in the garage. I'm sure it's the same as in the office.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to roll through here? You guys good?
Yeah.
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 Let's keep rolling here. So the topic tonight is let's
Stop.
collaborate.
and listen.
Yeah.
Collaborate. All right.
No, obviously from a business standpoint, we can talk about this, right? You guys do it a lot with different companies. Altadis does, right? You do it within the industry, tobacco industry, obviously. I mean, this one is you guys by way of Placencia,
Yep.
right? You guys work with AJ Fernandez. You have your own factories. You have your own crops. You utilize all this stuff. And let's kind of start with that and then just kind of branch into, obviously, collaboration, partnership, working with others. It really translates to, again, joking aside, he's doing a show in his house, much like I am, but it's like you do these things and you have to have a good partner.
Yeah.
Hopefully that supports what you're doing as well. So from a business standpoint, I mean, you guys go ahead and kind of talk about how important, because I'll give you my real quick 2 cents in that. Altadis is a prime example of, I've been in this industry from a retail standpoint for going on 13 years. And you have too, because we started around the same time.
Yeah.
It was something where Altadis is the brand that I think was really, I don't know who was in charge of it at that moment, because it wasn't Brad. Paul wasn't in the position he was. And, so you had the powers that be that listened to the industry, that there's nothing wrong with Montecristo. There's nothing wrong with Romeo Julieta, Upman, all these iconic brands, but those were certain smokers. And in a period of, I'd say the 2000s, especially into the 2010s, it went from boutiques, and all of a sudden those boutique brands or the smaller names were becoming the bigger names. And that's where people were gravitating towards. So I think what I saw with Altadis from my vantage point was all of a sudden it was like, oh, they're dipping their toes in with Placencia, with AJ Fernandez. And you started seeing these collaborations to speak to that part of the market, because you would lose out on that if you didn't start doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in speaking to what you said, Steve, so I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the first collaboration that you saw come out of Altadis would have been Henry Clay. Henry Clay, going back, did a tattoo. It was a collaboration with Tatuaje. And I don't know the exact date, but it was somewhere in the early 2010s. That was kind of the first of dipping the toes, right? Going outside of our realm and seeing it, and it was really a passion project. I believe Brad headed that up, and Pete Johnson's, I believe his father's favorite cigar was the Henry Clay. And so then what you saw birthed out of that was the Henry Clay tattoo. And so that went on. And then more expansive, we did a Ciudad de Musica for Montecristo. That was a collaboration with Crown Heads. That was a nod to Crown Heads, and it was made at EPC.
A lot of moving parts there.
Yeah. You saw that. And then the Espada, right? The Montecristo Espada, which is still.
I think that was the one that, even though it was smaller print, a lot of band on that one, it flat out threw the name on there.
That was the first
on the band,
non-Dominican Montecristo.
On the box.
Yep. In collaboration with the Placencia family. And so that was the first one to really kickstart it. And then you saw a few iterations start to come out with AJ Fernandez. in the Romeo by Romeo San Andreas, and then quickly followed up with the H. Upman by AJ Fernandez.
Trinidad.
And well, the H. Upman, and then then went on, and so Raphael, right, then comes into the picture with and that was right around the time that I started with them. Raphael had been there for several years and had expanded that relationship because he had a relationship with AJ Fernandez, and so he then took that and we started to collaborate and utilize the he used the verbiage, the vault, right, the tobacco vaults that are at Plasencia, that are at AJ Fernandez, and just this, I don't want to say unlimited amount of tobacco because it is very much limited, but the expansive tobacco varietals that they not only had access to, but they had in their vault that we were able to utilize, or Raphael was able to utilize, and create these incredible blends. And thus you have the Montecristo 1935, right? The 1935 Diamante. You have the Trinidads that you mentioned before.
The Nicaragua series. You have the Connecticut Nicaragua Romeo. I mean, the list is the Heritage now, the Upman, all the Trinidads like you talked about. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that my takeaway of it is not only what you've been saying, what I said, as far as seeing a not weakness, but maybe an opportunity and Altadis, as big as they weren't, to your point, Montecristo. There wasn't a whole lot of Nicaraguan tobacco being used. The white has Nicaraguan tobacco.
Sure. Yeah.
So you're utilizing some, and I don't know if it was your guys, like the Altadis's tobacco being used, but there was these. Esteli blew up, right? Esteli just absolutely blew up with factories. You had people like AJ Fernandez out there and his company. You had Plasencia, and they were just doing so many good things, making cigars for so many other companies, smaller companies.
Yeah.
And you didn't see the name on the box as much, right? And even you guys, Altadis, there's some cigars that AJ Fernandez is right on, Plasencia is right on it. And then there's other ones that you're like, well, I thought this was made by Plasencia. You have to turn the box over, and there's just a little stamp where it's coming out of on some of them.
To your point, that AJ pack that we sell, the 7 cigars. Onyx is in there.
Onyx,
that's a brand that
completely revitalized that brand.
It's obviously with the aging room stuff now too. It just, at the end of the day, if it's beneficial to one, it can be beneficial to all. By using our name, their name, I think it's revitalized our company from that standpoint. You guys obviously would know a little bit more than I would just because of your time in the industry, but just from my short time in the industry, I can see how beneficial it's been to both parties for us to be able to use their name when we talk about the cigar. And I'm sure from the opposite standpoint as well. Like when we say, hey, there's this Montecristo, the Espada, it's made by Plasencia. There's a sense of pride when we say that. And there's a sense of comfort when people hear that, that the cigar is made by Plasencia because of the heritage and the background of their company. People trust the tobacco. The reputation. Exactly. So when AJ has made a name for himself with us and on his own, but I think unfortunately he makes better cigars for other people than he does for his own self. But with his collab with Raphael, I mean, we've been fortunate enough to have a relationship with him, and Raphael's said it numerous times. I mean, it's a relationship, and going back to like something like the M with a 20-year wrapper. I mean, there's probably tons of companies and brands that would have killed to have that wrapper or that specific tobacco to be able to use for their cigar. And we were lucky enough that Raphael had such a relationship, a standing relationship with AJ to be like, we want to make something phenomenal. What do you got in the vault basically for us? And to have that tobacco is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, they I don't want to hone in on that specific, but they went down to Perez in Ecuador, right? And that was something that his father had set aside, right? This 20-year aged wrapper, and Raphael talks about that, going and selecting that, and they had to recondition that wrapper, right? I mean,
Yeah.
20 years. I mean, that's that's pretty incredible. So the breadth of knowledge too that AJ, right, brings, that Nestor brings, and their family history, the growing, the master craftsmanship, right, that they bring to the blends and in creating that with Raphael. It's incredible.
So why is it so important? I think, in business like that, where obviously, we always talk about part two here, personal life. I mean, the relationships are so important. I think there's people that we can keep in the tobacco industry, you can keep it just anywhere, but people that are so to a level of stubbornness that the way that they do it is the right way, and they live and die by that. Where I think that with Altadis as a prime example, but also just in everyday life, I mean, I think the collaborations that you learn from other things, you keep your ears open, right? You see what could benefit you, where you're lacking, possibly some of your weaknesses, how you can grow your strengths. And I think that you guys are a prime example, like just in every metaphor or any type of example that you can use that for. But it's just, there's something there that if you just keep doing it on your own, and you keep your blinders on, you keep, doing things the way you've always done them, sometimes it works. I'm not saying it doesn't ever work, but more times than not, in my opinion, that you have to expand. And it's all that whole thing with business, with your own personal relationships, with your own, just not even relationships, but it's that whole saying of like, you have to evolve or you're going to die. You're not gonna progress on your own if all you're doing is living in your own bubble and doing things you always have.
I think if you're grabbing two separate entities, like let's say a Siver Oak and a Bardstown, you have plenty of people that enjoy Siver Oak wine. You have plenty of people that drink bourbon, and if you have people that enjoy both those types of spirits, then that's pulling two separate types of drinkers together. For people who smoke cigars, you have people that like Montecristo, you have people that like Bardstown. If they can endorse a product that is a collaboration of both those items, now you're bringing people that maybe once would have never looked at a Montecristo and say, oh, well, I like Bardstown bourbon, maybe I'll give this a try. And I think that's where collaborations gain more traction and more recognition, because you have multiple parties of people who are always I always just smoke Plasencia. Well, you ever had this Montecristo made by them? And then you start to get the wheels turning in people's brains, and they're able to try stuff out of their norm. And that goes for everything. Obviously spirits, cigars. I mean, at one point in time, I was into sneakers really big, and collaborations were huge. I mean, when Nike collabs with different other brands and other companies and different artists, even those types of items are hot commodities, and that goes for tons of different products. I mean,
well, shameless plug. I mean, Kristen works for Crocs and Hey Dudes, and I think there was Hey Dudes that Jelly Roll had a limited release. It was sold out in minutes.
Well, Post Malone has Crocs
that's right.
Crazy.
The NFL ones we were talking about before the show, the NFL ones, they're selling out like crazy as well. It's like it brings in a new audience.
Correct.
Yep. Nate, what do you think?
The idea of collaborating, because I tried to tie in, because I'd messaged you about that, like how do we work this in?
Sure,
because of this product that we were drinking, like that's what gave me the idea to try and come up with this. Like, how do we work this in? I think you have to come to a realization, like, if you want to do things on your own, like you've been doing, like that's fine. You're going to stay very consistent. And, from a business standpoint, you're going to stay consistent, maybe in your sales or in your consumers. But it's allowing yourself, you first have to kind of get over yourself. Like, there are other people that enjoy other things or that have different viewpoints on things. Let's work with them, see what their take is from their experiences, and you try and work that together. And sometimes that creates an excitement or, a new excitement for a brand that people had passed up on. People hear about Bardstown, if they drink the Origin series, like, all right, cool, I've had that. What's next? But then also you come out with collab, it's like, oh, okay. Like I thought I liked Bardstown, and now they're doing something else. Where with Montecristo, like, yep, like the classic. I like the white series. They don't dazzle me. They're just solid smokes. They're there all the time. Like they're good. They're great. But then all of a sudden you hear a collaboration. It's like, oh, I know that name. That company makes really good cigars. That company produces really good tobacco. All right. Same thing in your personal life. Like you have your strengths, like what you're good at, your mindset. But sometimes you kind of need that other person who might have different experiences and different viewpoint to open yourself up to other experiences. I've never been big vacation guy. But then, some of the vacations Jess has booked for us and some of the trips that we do on a yearly basis, the first time we went down to Kentucky for a horse show, I was like, all right, this is your thing. This is not really my thing. And then we go down there and, we go to some of the restaurants that we do, and then just the culture and the people that we meet while we're down there. It's like, okay, now I look forward to that trip every year. I love doing that stuff. I've never been a resort kind of guy. I've never been to an all-inclusive. I've never been to a resort before ever in my life. And then Steve and Kristen get married at a resort, and I get invited, fortunately. And I'm like, all right, yeah, let's go. And I was, I was looking forward to the trip. And, then I experienced that trip. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. It's not something, the point is, it's not something I necessarily would have done on my own.
Yeah.
I needed someone else to put the noise into my ear of like, we really enjoy this. We think you will too. And you can't necessarily just close yourself off and like, no, that I've never done that, so I don't ever want to do it. It's like, no, try it. You might actually enjoy it.
Yeah, that's like the broadest definition of a collaboration. I mean, just being open to, like you said, something different from the norm of what you're used to with a certain product. So,
yeah, I mean, being open to new things, right? I mean, there's when I was talking about like you live and die by it, right? You evolve or die. I hear more times than I'd like when people say, well, someday I'm going to do it. I mean, someday I got to keep working. I got to do this. Like, when do you want to take a vacation? When are you going to do this? When are you going to try to start? When are you going to start trying? You keep talking about something. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do it at some point. Like, how do you get to that breaking point? When do you push yourself to do something? Is there something you guys, like Nate, that's a great example. How about you two? I mean, is there anything that you've done in the last, call it 5 years, that you kind of kept thinking about, and then you're just like, I don't know, I'll do it someday. I'll do it when I retire.
This job is a prime example.
Your job?
Yeah. How
so?
I fully expected to be in the car business for the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. And it was, nothing changes unless something changes. So just taking that first step and saying, somebody gave me an opportunity to at least interview with Altadis. There's a hesitancy there because you're in your comfort bubble. Like, what you do on a daily basis and you're good at it and you're happy with that, pays the bills. It's stressful like anything else, but is it really what you wanted to do forever? Okay.
Is there a fear of the unknown?
Yeah, absolutely. Big fear of the unknown, big fear of, am I going to be good at this? Am I going to be successful? But then you look back and you're like, well, before I even got in the car business, what was I doing before that? And then you take that step to do that. And were you great at it? Probably not. But then you learned and you adapted and you changed. That was it. Just, you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And that uncomfortableness goes away once you gain that knowledge and that experience, and that's the best way I can describe it. Is this job is a prime example of, just take the step. I mean, it was a conversation I had with my wife, and it was like, is this the best for us? Is this the best for my family? Is this going to work out? Is this going to pay the bills? Is this going to make me happy?
I don't think there's anything wrong with being comfortable in a point in life, like in a career. I don't think there's anything wrong with being comfortable in it. I think the issue is if you're miserable doing that, but you're comfortable with the consistency of
exactly
it.
What it was.
That's the problem.
That's exactly
like
what it was.
If your job sucks, but you're comfortable just biting the bullet.
That's what it was.
That's
It was like, this is great at the time. It pays the bills. It's everything's taken care of. But am I passionate about it? Am I enthusiastic to go to work every day? And
twice in my life, I have left companies and careers that people in my family had said stuff like, why would you ever leave that company? Like, that's a company you get with and you stay there. Like, why? But that's also coming from people that, worked for the same company for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
It's a different mindset. And, for me, in both times, I got uncomfortable with how comfortable I was in those positions. Like, I took a lot of crap at both of those careers, and I just kind of rolled with it because, yes, the paycheck, being able to take care of the family, the fear of the unknown, like, that's one that has always held me back throughout my adult life. And making those kinds of changes were some of the more difficult decisions I've ever had to make. Thankfully, every time that decision has come up, I've had someone in my corner at home who recognized like how miserable I was in both of those positions I was in, and wanted me to do more because they knew I could do better than what I was doing. I didn't necessarily, it's not that I didn't see that in myself. It was the fear of actually stepping out and trying something different. 3 years ago, I wasn't selling wine and liquor. I've been in the cigar industry but most of my life, that's always been a side gig, is the cigar side of things. Now I get to do that as part of my career. If I didn't have the Jess in my corner to try and push me to do something that she saw in me, I may not have done either of those things. I may still be, injecting rats with chemicals
for a job. Okay, yeah. Finish that statement.
For a job,
Yes. Otherwise, that's real creepy.
Where's that going?
Yeah, I
really like in your basement, and
for those who don't know, I did pharmacology and toxicology research on rodents for the first 8 years of my adult life.
Josh, what's the best collaboration you've been involved in any aspect of your life?
Oh man, that is tough.
Yeah.
The best collaboration
In any sense of the word.
I mean, initially I'm going to go to my relationship with Lisa.
That's the right answer. That's the absolute right answer.
Is the best.
It's a loaded question.
I mean, she keeps me grounded and corrects me when I get off kilter.
Not often.
And not often. More often than not, it seems like these days. But no, I was thinking about it, and as we were explaining and diving into the subject, when it comes to collaborations, like personally, I believe that you are a sum of the people that you surround yourself with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I would say the top 5. You're some of the top 5 people that you surround yourself with, and this collaborative effort, right? Whether that's family, whether it's family and friends, whether it's just friends, whether it's colleagues. You become a sum in your everyday walk with those people that you surround yourself with. So if you go to them and you bounce ideas off of them, right? You bounce occupation ideas, right? You bounce business ideas off of them, right? And great things can come out of that, right? And, we talked about fear being a big part of it, right? And we've talked about hesitation in some of those things. And I just think that it's all encompassing. And, at the end of the day, though, simply put, I believe it's a sum of who you're surrounding yourself at that period, right? And I think that changes.
Mm-hmm.
There are seasons, right, of our life that we go through and we surround ourselves with different people, and we have different outcomes during those seasons. And I don't mean to get too deep, but I mean, this is this is what I get. I had an opportunity as of late that was presented to me to make an occupation change. And something presented itself, and I would, financially better myself, financially better my family from that aspect. But then I took the idea and I took it to many different people, and
your board of directors.
Jumping ahead.
It's been a long time since we've heard that phrase.
That's it, huh? Board of directors. Drink to that.
That used to be part of the drinking game.
What it came down to is the collaborative effort of not one but many people. Is that would I be passionate? Would I be happy? Right? Would it bring joy, right? Constantly to me. I wake up and I'm thankful every day, that we're in the industry, that that we're in, that we get to do what we do, and more passionate about the product, right? That that we're enjoying right now, and that we just got to enjoy. And so there's something to be said, right there, whether you want to put a monetary value on that, that's each person is different on that. And I think that in this case, I ended up making the right decision. So
you're still in the industry.
Still very much a part.
He's not dissecting rats.
I didn't work for Nico.
It's a great point here for you, Josh. Ray says that depends how open you are to their input. You can surround yourself with good people, but still not be influenced by them. And I think that is a good point, that you have to
hear their perspective.
Because you could in that decision, which is a huge life decision, right?
Yeah.
Because Dave, we've all switched industries for one reason or another through our careers, and you have to. You can bounce it off. It's that person in your life, or that friend that comes to you with a problem or with a situation or an opportunity. You can tell real quick, or sometimes it takes a little while, that you realize that they want to talk about it, but unless you give them the answer that they are looking for, they're not. I mean, they're listening, they're hearing whatever you want to say, but you're not impacting them at all, right? It's something that they're going to figure out on their own. But sometimes they are saying it and expressing to you just to give that kind of okay.
Yeah.
So that's great that with what Ray's saying there and what you're saying, Josh, is that you went into it very pure and saying, I'm not sure what to do. And you put the value behind the people that you surround yourself with. And that's the part two of that, right? I mean, you can go talk to people about this situation that's coming up, but if you already had your mindset, you're kind of just spinning your wheels. And if you got you talk to 5 people or whatever, and you 3 out of the 5, you're like, okay, I know I was making the right decision. But if you get 1 or 2 out of the 5, you're no further along, because you already have it in your gut that you're like, this is what I'm going to do, which is fine.
Yeah.
If you're going to follow that. But I think when you're having that's one of those things, the open dialogue with parties that you hold their opinions and their statements with value. That's, I think, the collaboration, or whatever. That's the true impact of those conversations when you're talking to people. And I think I don't know about you guys, but I've been on both sides of that. There have been situations in my life that, I want to vent, I want to talk about it, and I want to talk about whatever it is. And I still am. I haven't gotten past it in my own gut, my own being there. It's not as pure. And then I've had the other people on the other side of it come to me, and you almost want to just call them out. You're like, you're not I can tell you what I think. Yeah.
I think you're looking
I can see it that you're not whatever I say is not going to impact it, which again is fine. But do yourself a service and a service to the other people. It's do it the one time, but if you keep doing it, they're eventually going to be like, well, I don't even want to talk to you anymore because like you're not going to listen to me. My opinion doesn't hold any value to you, clearly.
I had that happen. My very first cigar shop I worked at, there was a guy, a regular, who had asked another regular his opinion on a bourbon. And because the guy goes, look, I know two things. I know where to eat. I know what to drink. And so this guy goes, well, what do you think about this product? He goes, I'd rather, you should spend your money on something else. That guy went ahead and bought what he was asking about. And then he came in a couple days later. He's like, yeah, I didn't like it. And that guy was there and he goes, well, I told you, like, you shouldn't try that. You should try one of these other ones because it's better. So don't ever ask me for my opinion ever again on that.
Well,
like,
or did
because you asked me my opinion, I gave you my opinion, and you completely went against it. So you obviously didn't care what my opinion was.
He was looking for the validation.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I think that's a lot of times why we ask other people what they think is because we already have our mind made up. We want other people to agree with us. So that way it makes us feel better about the decision. But if all the people closest to us whose opinions we value tell us, no, make a right turn, don't make a left turn. We're like, well, no, I'm going to make the left turn. And you crash into a tree. It's like, yeah you should have gone right. Like,
or you take a few more lefts to get to that right.
Yeah. Like, you take the long way.
Yeah, that's right.
It's one of those things where, you asked, but you weren't asking because you wanted someone else's opinion. You just wanted to be right. Yeah. And then the hard part after that is if you made the wrong decision, you have to put your pride aside. Be like, I made this decision on my own. It was the wrong call. That's on me. It's not on the people I asked.
Give that person credit though that they came back in, because you could be that stubborn and you hated it and you go back in or you go somewhere else. You're like, I loved it. Which one were you talking about?
To Josh's situation, like, I would be looking for an unbiased, like, opinion from a 30,000 foot view, for if you're asking your closest 5 people that you're not necessarily looking, I would hope you're not looking for validation. You're just looking for an unbiased, like, what do you think about this from a person who knows nothing about what I know? Because in my situation, I had blinders on to, oh my God, cigar industry, boom, boom, like, this is gonna be great. But I wanted other people's non-biased opinion without going through any of the interview process or any of that stuff that I went through to see, what do you think my reservations should be? What should I be thinking about in terms of, like, not the shiny bright thing that's in front of me? What's the stuff on the other side of that? So going back to your point, I did the same thing. I asked people around me, my 5 closest friends that I value their opinions. I wanted a non-biased outside view. And I felt good about the decision I made at the end of the day because I had value in my own thoughts, but other people said, yes, do this or go into it with an open mind. Don't think you know everything. Don't think anything like that, but be a sponge and good things can happen. So I think, going to your point, validation is what people seek the most when they've already kind of made up their mind. But if you go into it with an open mind, you don't need validation. You just need to feel confident.
I think you need to weigh the options. It's funny you guys talking about this, and I think I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole, but just food for thought for you guys out there as we move forward through time here. I've had people tell me that they have so in contrast to the personal aspect of it, the who you trust, I think Ray's points valid, obviously, and you guys talking about, and David, you're talking about, like, this outsider's perspective. We're on the brink of, like, a Chat GPT type thing where you can talk to it, type it in or whatever, give it, I'm not going to give it give it all the information from a purely objective and what they can find on the internet and what they're being fed into as far as knowledge and how people work, which is scary in itself. Again, I don't want to go down that hole, but
give me the best recipe for
that. Is something where I think there's 2 sides of it, and I think that's where the collaboration, the collaboration side of it really is that you do. I like, Josh, I like both sides of it, right? But I do like the people that you hold to a higher standard, a higher value in your life, and their opinion and their knowledge of you and your circumstances, I still hold true that should outweigh the outsiders, just the pure objectiveness of something like a Chat GPT that more and more people are going to be referring to for not just knowledge, but actual life decisions based on the facts that you give it. And then that's on you, whether you're talking to a robot, Skynet over here, or if you're talking to your relatives or your family or your friends or the mentors in business. The biggest thing about that, and I think that's something you can tie into like what, Altadis is doing, just to kind of bring it back full circle. You can bring it in, but you have to be fully transparent. You can't hold certain aspects or facts back to kind of skew the conversation to make it what you are leaning towards. You have to lay it all out there. So all the facts are known. The things that you may not think about after you like just word vomit everything out there. This is everything. And one of my favorite parts about when you're having a conversation, and it's a pure conversation, if you can do that, is when the other party says, well, have you thought about this? And that doesn't always happen that it does, but I think it's great when the person, you can see it or you feel it. No, I haven't. Shit. I didn't think about that part of it.
Now I got to reevaluate.
Now you got to step back and you got to really I think that's because you're making a good decision. You're making a good product or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do this, this, and this, make this happen. And then they come back. You're like, okay, we can do this, this, and this. Have you thought about this aspect? Have you thought about how many of these products you want to make? How much, yield of what we're doing? Have you thought about what the cost is going to be? Have you thought about what, the cost is going to be in this life decision? What is the sacrifices or potential sacrifices that could happen? Can you go back to the car industry? Can you do something? Can you pivot back to this point? What is the breaking point? And really kind of look at it from bring it back out, but with a little bit more of a personal knowledge touch to it. I think that's really the biggest, success potential there.
Well, I know for me, 10 years ago, I was still in that mindset where I may still try and go full time into the cigar industry because of the passion I had for it. But even at that time, the short time I had in the cigar industry, meet a lot of reps, work for a company, meet other reps within the company. Most of the people I met in the industry did not have the same beliefs I did. They did not have the same lifestyle that I did. What mattered to them the most was not necessarily what mattered to me the most. And so even though the majority of people I knew in the cigar industry were, would have one point of view, there were two people in the cigar industry that had the other view, but they were also people that related to me the most. Mm-hmm. One was Josh, the other was Miguel. Mm-hmm. So when I had questions about that, those were the two people that I would lean on more for advice and information, because my belief system and my lifestyle meshed more with them than some of the other guys.
It applies more to you.
It did.
Yeah.
So, when I worked for a cigar company, I was the only married guy in the company. So, asking a bunch of single guys who like to go out and party all the time, like that's not my lifestyle. That's not my priority. So their opinion is not necessarily based on the same belief system I have. So I'm going to find out people in that industry that do have that. And that's why those two gentlemen were people that I reached out to the most, because I had more in common with them. And they would also be looking at it from the same viewpoint as I would, but they knew more about it than me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm reaching out to them for information and to get a better understanding of whether or not it's a good decision or a bad decision, for this company or that company or something like that. So it's not just, so I bring that up because you brought up the Chat GPT. Like there's hundreds of cigar reps out there, most of them are fit into this category, a select few fit into this category. Well, which one are you? You need to be reaching out to the people who see things from that. Otherwise, you're going to be going against yourself. If you go with the majority, you're going against yourself, and you may not end up being happy with what you decide to do, because it goes against who you are as a person as a whole.
Yeah.
We got 10 minutes for closing remarks. Josh, you want to start?
Man, I'll start.
That doesn't
going
mean
off
take
of,
the whole 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Not even.
Going off of what Nate said, this is double, and what I mean by that is, I'm going to go back to a term that I used several years ago. Right, this is the board of directors, right, and this resonates or ties into this collaboration series, right? Like in your life. But I think it all goes back to and stems from what stage of life you're in, right?
Mhm.
You know, and I said, you know, we're all in different seasons, right? We go through many different seasons of life, and this changes,
Frank's
right, in each stage of life that we're in. And so, yes, when you're on a stage of life that the decision that you're making is what bottle am I going to pick up at the market, this evening. You don't have to get the board of directors involved, right? If you're talking about moving your family across country, right? It's very much a different stage of life, right? That you want to involve different people. And so to elaborate really quickly on the board of directors that I had spoke about years ago, right? These are a select few individuals that you have identified in your life that their opinion and advice holds true to you, because the stage of life that they're in, right, can be very close to the stage of life that you're in. Their belief system, right, aligns a lot with the belief system that you withhold, and they're might be in different stages of their life, right? And that's what I incorporate, and that's what I suggest to a lot of people who come to me and have talked about this board of directors, right? Much like a company has, you have in your life, and you've appointed these people that are in different stages, some of which have gone before you, right? Some of which might be a little bit ahead of you, and then some that are in the same stage of life that are you. And so you're going and you're filtering, right? And you're going through, and majority of the time you've already weeded out, right, that you're not going into these questions or asking them their advice with preconceived notions, right? They're giving you an unbiased opinion because you've already appointed, and they already know the status that they hold in your life. So I just think that that's uber important in anybody's life, in any major or minor decision at that point. Bourbon and cigars don't really count for those.
Can be important, but
absolutely,
maybe.
right. I mean, but you can go to the cigar shop and ask the guy behind the counter or anybody what they think about that. But that's my thoughts.
I like it, David.
Kind of going back to the heart of what we were talking about with collabs, let's just use AJ Fernandez as a perfect example. I think if your values as a company and the values of the people that you're going to be doing business with align, then that can hold true to everything. Like my values and your values align, then we see a positive outcome from that. We're going to do a collab. This podcast is a collaboration between you guys and us. Our collaboration with AJ and Placencia, I think our values and the values of brands like them align, and we see the similar structure in the way that we like to do business, the way that we like to present a product to the masses. That's what the foundation of collabing is all about. And if you're talking about collabing with your board of directors, like you're looking for people who have similar values and morals and those types of things. That's why you trust their character and their in what they stand for. When it comes to a company like, let's say, Bardstown and Montecristo, like our values are probably similar in terms of how we like to present the product, how we like to design the product, make sure that it's constructed well, all that stuff. It shows with what Bardstown is putting out on their shelves, the time, the effort, the mad scientist, everything. Like, we see, hey, these guys are no joke. They're putting out a quality product at a decent price. The market likes it. That's in my opinion what makes a good collaboration, is that like eye to eye sense of value and appreciation for a common goal.
I like it. Nate, you got a couple minutes.
When I came up with this idea for collaboration, one of the words that also came to my mind was this idea of teamwork. And you have to be able to set aside your pride. When I'm at work in my day job, like, I can sell just about every bottle that's on the shelf. But I also recognize I have a particular coworker. I may not necessarily care for that person that much because of who they are personally. But I also recognize their experiences and that their knowledge. So there are sometimes I'll get someone who asks a very specific question or looking for a very specific product. I may not know enough about that to make the best decision for the customer. I can sell that customer a bottle, but there have been times where I've like, let's ask this guy. This guy actually lived over there for 12 years. He knows more about it than I do. Like, generally, I can give you what you need to make a decision. Let me go ask this guy. And the biggest part of that was setting aside my own pride. Like, I don't know everything. I know that. I know that I don't know everything. So you have to realize I can't do it all. I need other people's input or other people's wisdom to be able to get through whatever this is in life, whether it be a work issue, a life issue. Don't try and do it all on yourself. There are other people out there who may know more and may know better. Don't be afraid to reach out to them for information. Collab.
I like it.
Yeah.
I had some thoughts there, but I think one thing that really stuck out, David, what you just said about Altadis and Bardstown, Montecristo, Bardstown. I think that goes no matter if it's with business, whether it's with your personal life, your relationships, your significant other, anytime. And I think you can hone it down a little bit more as you have more life experience, whether it be through failures or successes. Any collaboration that you have, whether it's talking to people that you value, working with people or businesses that you have a shared vision, and sometimes opposites can attract and build something, but it's that finished product, right? It's the product that you're putting out based on that collaboration with another individual, your significant other, another business. It has to be aligned that you are putting out the best product that you can, whether it be business or your everyday life. I think that the biggest thing is that the goal is that when you collaborate with someone through conversation or otherwise, is that your goal is to put out the best you can do, and that your visions align so that that bottle, that cigar, what your home life looks like when you wake up in the morning, that is the product that you are putting out in your life, through business, through your health, through your family, everything. That is the product. You are the product, and that's where the collaborations, it all goes together for that. Guys, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Josh, David, Altadis USA.
Thank you.
You guys are amazing. Thanks to Bardstown. Brandon was fantastic. Guys, we will see you actually next week. So tune in next week. Thank you guys. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Cheers.
Cheers.